Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and esteemed colleagues, Assalamu alaikum. It's an honor to be part of this important webinar hosted by Center for International Strategic Studies, Azad Jammu and Kashmir. I would like to extend my gratitude to the Executive Director, Dr. Asma Shakir Khwaja, and her team for bringing us together to deliberate on the Biological Weapons Convention's recent meeting. So this treaty, I was saying, symbolizes humanity's collective resolve to prevent the horrors of biological warfare. The Biological Weapon Convention regime remains distinct even after 5 decades of its inception. While registering progress in strengthening the normative framework against biological weapons, its development of institutional and organizational arrangements has not kept pace with the requirements of this regime. Today, I will reflect on the key outcomes of the recent meetings of the convention held this month and outline future directions that can strengthen this key disarmament treaty. Pakistan's dedication to the principles of Biological Weapon Convention is steadfast. As a signatory since January 1972 and a ratifying state since October 74, our foremost priorities include the universalization of the convention and ensuring a balanced, non-discriminatory, and comprehensive implementation of all its articles. We strongly reiterate the widely held view that the most effective method of strengthening the convention is through the conclusion of a legally binding protocol. This protocol should include a robust multilateral verification mechanism to ensure compliance by all states parties. Over the years, Pakistan has implemented a robust legislative and regulatory framework to ensure compliance of the convention. This includes stringent biosafety and biosecurity measures, export control regime, and legally binding penalties for violations. These efforts are overseen by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, showcasing Pakistan's proactive approach to mitigating biological threats. Pakistan also submits its confidence-building measures under the convention, although the CBMs are temporary and weak fix for verification mechanism. Our active membership in the global health security agenda further reflects our commitment to strengthening the global capabilities to prevent, detect, and respond to biological risks. Global North cannot remain ambivalent towards this treaty's obligations about offering international cooperation by the West in peaceful uses of biological sciences and technologies and strengthening the verification regime. If the technology leaders do not meet their treaty obligations and continue to insist only on upholding international security as it suits them, they risk pushing the Biological Weapon Convention's fate in the direction of what ails the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. The disenchantment of the NPT states parties culminated in the adoption of the Treaty on Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, the so-called Nuclear Ban Treaty in 2017, which is a cautionary example for the Biological Weapon Convention. In 2022, the 9th Review Conference of the Convention established a new working group with a 4-year mandate to identify, examine, and develop possible legally binding measures and make recommendations to strengthen and institutionalize the Biological Weapon Convention in all its aspects. The Review Conference also decided to develop an international cooperation and assistance mechanism that is long-held demand of the non-aligned movement states, and a science and technology review mechanism that is a priority for the Western states. The working group was given 7 topics for developing recommendations. First, international cooperation and assistance. Scientific and technological developments. Third, confidence building and transparency. Fourth, compliance and verification. Fifth, national implementation of the convention. Sixth, assistance, response, and preparedness. And lastly, organizational, institutional, and financial arrangements. The working group has reached its midpoint in the process and held its fifth session this month, and the key outcomes from its session can be categorized into three: international cooperation, compliance and verification, and advancements in preparedness. Let me briefly elaborate these. First, the international cooperation. Pakistan and other NAM states have been arguing that establishing a mechanism to implement obligations of Article 10 in a more structured and an institutionalized manner will help harness the benefits of biological sciences and technologies for peaceful purposes, while also helping mitigating the associated risks. The state parties have been working on establishing an international cooperation and assistance mechanism, and the recent meeting fleshed out its more details. In 2023, Pakistan's proposal for establishing a triangular institutional structure received broad support. The proposed structure involves a program, a committee, and a fund to design, facilitate, and deliver projects that promote peaceful uses of life sciences while preventing its misuses, in particular for developing countries. The working group has made good progress on this triangular structure. The second is regarding compliance and verification mechanism. The discussions on establishing legally binding verification measures gain momentum. Effective compliance mechanisms are essential for building trust among nations, and Pakistan supports efforts to strengthen these mechanisms without imposing undue burdens. The working group is aiming to define the scope, purpose, and principles of verification. Many states, including Russia and China, would like to resume the negotiations on the draft ad hoc protocol on compliance and verification, which was developed in 2001, but was blocked by the United States. In the latest session, the working group agreed to continue narrowing down differences on this issue. Strengthening the implementation of Article 7 of the Convention relating to preparedness, assistance, and response has assumed further significance over the years and was also discussed in the working group. Assistance should be provided promptly based on requests by the affected states. Concrete and practical measures in this regard should be considered. For example, assistance may not be contingent to the United Nations Security Council's deliberations on alleged use, which often faced political bottlenecks. Today, we find ourselves in an environment that is increasingly shaped by major transformations in life sciences, revolution in technology, such as artificial intelligence, and increased participation of a variety of actors. The breathtaking pace of these developments presents unprecedented risks and offers new avenues of cooperation. The established norms under the Convention are threatened by the potential misuse of these developments. In this context, the establishment of a new working group to strengthen the Convention can be seen as a unique opportunity for a system reset after almost 2 decades and revitalize it. This will contemporize the biological weapon conventions in ways that it is able to measure up to the promise and perils in the decades ahead. Now, allow me to propose 7 areas for strengthening the convention and ensuring its continued relevance. First, institutionalism. Institutionalism through the establishment of a dedicated body such as Organization on the Prohibition of Biological Weapons, OPBW, just like one in the Chemical Weapon Convention, which is crucial for overseeing compliance, facilitating technical assistance, and providing technical cooperation. This could replace the current Implementation Support Unit, the ISU. Kazakhstan has proposed establishment of an international agency on biological security to implement the convention. Pakistan has been at the forefront of multilateral diplomacy. Notably, the ISU itself was, if you recall, created in 2006 on Pakistan's initiative during its presidency in the 6th REFCON. Currently, in the working group, Pakistan serves as the friend of the chair on the measures on organizational, institutional, and financial arrangements, and is steering the consultations to ensure progress in these critical areas. Few words about the capacity building. Many developing nations lack the resources to fully implement the convention's provisions. To address this, it is imperative to launch comprehensive capacity building initiatives that include training programs, technology transfer mechanisms, and equitable access to advancements in biological sciences. Pakistan has long advocated for equitable benefits from biological sciences, emphasizing that this principle must guide future actions to strengthen the convention. Likewise, another recommendation that I wish to make is regarding inclusive representation in negotiating mechanisms. Participation in any negotiated mechanism, such as steering committees or core groups tasked with regulating international cooperation and the science and technology review mechanism, must ensure wider representation. Exclusive groups risk undermining the convention's legitimacy and trust among the states parties. Likewise, I want to recommend something regarding building indigenous capacities. The objective of international cooperation should be to empower developing states to build indigenous capabilities to counter threats arising from the misuse of biotechnology. Capacity building efforts should focus on reducing reliance on developed countries. For example, training programs on biosafety and biosecurity alongside technology sharing platforms can empower developing nations. My next recommendation is regarding addressing the monopolization of biotechnology. The current concentration of advanced biotechnology infrastructure is in Western states, including the US and its allies, which is a bit concerning. Approximately 70 to 80% of the world's biosafety level 4 labs are located in these regions. This monopolization, if I may, by the West breeds mistrust. Addressing these disparities is crucial for fostering global cooperation and equality and equity in biological sciences. Next, I want to share some thoughts on purpose of science and technology mechanism. The science and technology review mechanism should prioritize identifying the benefits of emerging technologies in life sciences and sharing these benefits with developing states. The mechanism must move beyond solely highlighting risks, which often serve to justify stringent controls on technology transfer. Instead, it should strive to equitable sharing of advancements to benefit all states parties, fostering trust and collaboration. Lastly, strengthening multilateralism. The Biological Weapon Convention's effectiveness depends on cohesive global action. Pakistan, on its part, remains committed to strengthening multilateralism as a foundation for global peace and security. And collaboration with regimes like the UN World Health Organization must focus on global preparedness and resilience against biological threats. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan's vision for the Biological Weapons Convention is rooted in our unwavering commitment to disarmament, non-proliferation, and peaceful uses of technologies. As a reasonable and responsible state, we recognize the critical role of the convention in addressing biological threats and promoting global stability. All stakeholders must reaffirm their commitment to the convention, ensuring that it evolves to bridge the North-South divide and addresses emerging global challenges. By fostering cooperation, enhancing compliance, and proactively addressing emerging threats, we can safeguard humanity from the risks of biological warfare and build a safer and more secure world. The working group should continue to make progress on all topics in a balanced manner. The time available in the run-up to the next review conference of the Biological Weapon Convention and its Golden Jubilee, there may be a special RevCon for that, is an opportunity that must not be lost. I thank you all, and I end here.